Hey, what it do, people? It's your boy YouTube Blue coming back at you again, and it's a nice, cool day today. The sun is out, but it's a little windy out here in the DMV. But Cowboys bye week, and like I said before, going into a bye week with a loss, it's really kind of sucks. But with the Dallas Cowboys, there's still always a lot to talk about. So, you know, I'm here to let you guys know my perspective on things as usual. So let's begin. So, a couple of updates. I know you guys heard about, you know, the injuries that we had. The boy CJ Goodwin, he actually fractured his arm in the game. I don't know, still don't know what the timetable is for that, but he is, when I saw the game, it was real quick because they didn't really talk about it. I saw when the tackle happened, he got up real quick and grabbed his arm and just started walking to the bench. And I was just like, okay, well, he broke something, because when you grab your arm like that and quickly move away, like, you already know. You know, especially when you're a player and you've had a lot of injuries, you know that, you know what it's like to break certain parts of your body. Jeff Swain, when Jeff Swain got hit on that tackle or whatever, when he got hit low and he came out with that knee, so he got an MRI done yesterday. So still waiting for the results of that. Probably sprained his knee. Same thing with Zach Martin. He has a sprained knee. He's not practicing right now. But the good thing is with these injuries, though, with this bye week, and not only do we have a bye week, but the next week we don't play until Monday. So it's almost like a bye week and a quarter. You know what I mean? So, because you don't play till that next day. Randy Gregory had a knee scope. You know, with modern technology and the way things are now, he should be good to go by the time the Titans game comes along. And, of course, the big story with Amari Cooper being on the Dallas Cowboys now, you know, there's so many question marks everywhere going on. You got Sportline out there actually saying that he doesn't help the Cowboys win at all. Now, we could go back and forth on this, but I'm living my best life because I ain't trying to go back and forth with you. You know what? So it is what it is. I'm going to tell you this. All right. Now, I'm not a fan of giving away first-round picks. I never was. But as Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett has said, you know, they've talked to their scouts and they believe in their scouts. And they basically were saying that they don't believe that there is anybody in the next 2019 draft as a receiver that's better than Amari Cooper or has more potential than getting Amari Cooper as a draft pick. So they don't think that there's anybody in this next coming draft as far as wide receiver that's worth it for a first-round pick. So, again, their scouts, they know way more than me. I don't know. I can only go by what they said when it comes to that. But what I will say is this. Let's look at this thing from different angles. Let's go back. All right. So, with Amari Cooper being here, what does this mean for the Dallas Cowboys? Well, it can mean a lot of different things. And again, everything right now is speculation. You don't know what's going to happen until it starts to happen. That's just the way things go. Even when you get a guy in a draft, you're taking a chance on players. So there's a couple of things that I want to touch on in this video. And just to get you guys just thinking during this bye week that we have. Because, again, we got time, y'all. We have time to get things together, and because we ain't got a game. So there's nothing else to talk about besides what's going on right now. So we need to make this team better. That's the priority right now. What Amari Cooper brings to this team, as far as a talented player, he brings you a potential #1 receiver. He brings you a guy that is, he's a fast guy. He's a big body guy. He, similar to what Dez did, when he catches the ball, he uses leverage. Now, everybody kept saying that he dropped passes with the Raiders. Another thing that you have to realize, too, that you know, when I went back and actually looked at some Raiders tape on him, and I seen a lot of balls that he caught. And some of the stuff that he didn't was more so, I'm going to say, from Derek Carr's standpoint. That Raider team is almost imploding right now because of John Gruden, and the players are not liking him getting rid of these players. They're not liking it. Especially when the Khalil Mack thing happened right before the season started. You know, the players started questioning, hey, why are we getting rid of our best player? I don't think Amari Cooper just wanted to play for them anymore. And I just look at, you know, when you're with a team and there's a lot of strain going on, sometimes you need a new environment. A lot of times you just need to go somewhere different to get new breath, new life, to elevate your game. Because a lot of times that you can help a different team win, and not being in a toxic situation, because I just think that was a toxic situation for Amari Cooper. So, and he just wanted out of that. And I think that Derek Carr might be one now too, because you look at how he's playing, and he just playing like a guy that just like, you know what, I'm done with all of this right now. There's a lot of analysts out there and you know, sports people saying that, you know, Cowboys shouldn't get rid of first-round pick. Now, I can't say that I don't agree with that. Now, I'm not big on getting rid of first-round picks, but if Amari Cooper comes in here and we actually make the playoffs and we go deep into the playoffs and we actually become contenders and we play better as a whole, then it's worth it. But unfortunately, it puts a lot more strain on Dak Prescott now. The team's aspect of it, they were getting Amari Cooper to help Dak to basically, they were backtracking on what they did. They basically went in here and was like, hey, Dak don't need a number one wide receiver. We're going to get a bunch of 2s and 3s, and we're going to equal that out to try to be a number one. And we're going to just have a bunch of targets for Dak to pass it to. Well, we see that after 7 games, that didn't work. So what do you do now? You go back and get a number one. They easily could have went back and got Dez, you know, because they even said that, hey, Dez, we see that a lot of this stuff wasn't because of Dez Bryant. And that's clear. But again, a receiver is only as good as the person throwing the ball. And a quarterback is only as good as the person he's throwing the ball to. So if you can't catch and you can't throw, you're not going to have any offense. Now, we know that Dak can throw, and we know that Amari can catch. The problem with the receivers that we had before Amari, I'm not saying that our guys were trash. I'm just saying that, well, Deontay Thompson wasn't catching the ball. I would have rather them cut Deontay Thompson, in my opinion. But as far as Cole Beasley and everybody else, I mean, Allen Hurns has been hit or miss. But again, Allen Hurns ain't no number one receiver. So my whole thing is this. Teams were not afraid of these receivers. They were able to dictate the offense by how they played on defense because there was no threat of a number one. Now that you got Amari in here, it takes some of that pressure off of Cole and Hurns, and that way you can do more things with your secondary receivers. In a dream scenario for me, I'd be like, forget it. Like I said in the last video, hell, go back and get Dez too. You could get Dez on a small contract right now because he don't want to play for nobody but the Dallas Cowboys. So why not go back and get Dez and then cut Deontay Thompson? Now you got a 1 and a 2. Then you got Cole. Now you're starting to get some threats out there because not only do you have one big guy that can use leverage, but you got 2. So, I mean, you know, I say just suck it up, apologize, let bygones be bygones, and go get Dez. But if you go get Dez, there has a conversation that has to be had. And him and Jerry would have to sit down and have that conversation on expectations. I can handle that. I think that would be a smart, mature thing to do if they were to do that. I don't think that would ever happen. But I'm just saying, in my dream scenario, and if I own a team, that's what I would do. Now, because me personally, I'm about winning. You know, money is great and everything, and you need that too. But I'm more so on having quality than quantity. I want quality. I'm big on quality, y'all. And that's just the way that goes. You look at Dak Prescott and how he's been playing, or how he is, period. Me personally, I think that every team needs at least one, not necessarily elite, but a wide receiver that is above average. Because you can't have a team with a bunch of average people that are the same. Because what happens is everybody's doing the same, and you don't have any type of differences in actually like making the defense back off of you, because they're not afraid of anything, because they see what this guy can do, and they know, hey, as a defender, I'm better than him, and he can't outmatch me. But now that we have Amari Cooper, and it's good that it's the bye week, because he has a chance to work a little bit by himself with Dak Prescott. He has time to learn his playbook, so by the time we get to the Titans game, he should be good to go. I don't think that, now, to be honest, I don't think that the receiver was the biggest issue. We are forgetting small little tidbits right now. And I was just sitting down and thinking about this. Offensive line has been an issue this year, secretly, but not so secretly. Like, low-key has been an issue. You got Tyron Smith dealing with his issues, his back, which in certain games affects how he plays. You got a rookie right next to him in Connor. Then you have the absence of Travis Frederick because of his syndrome. And you got Joe Looney playing this spot. Don't get me wrong, Joe Looney is playing great, but Travis Frederick did all those line calls, which made it much easier for Dak. So now you don't have that. So now Dak has to worry about that as well. You got a rookie at left guard. And then you have your all-pro left tackle dealing with back injuries. And also, Tyron Smith is thinking in his head like, okay, I got to help this rookie out next to me, so I have to do my job and make sure I help with him. Joe Looney's doing the same thing. Like, he's trying to figure out the line calls and do the line calls. And then when they're doing misdirections and shed blocking, he has to help with Connor to figure out, hey, I got to get my rookie right. So it's a lot going on in the offensive line. So it's not like they're working as one cohesive unit. It's more so of patchwork offensive line right now. The biggest thing with that, though, is not the players. And I'm going to tell you why. And I know some of you guys are like, move some players around, put Cameron Fleming in for Connor. Look at it like this. You got that rookie there. I believe that Williams is getting better and better every week. Now, he does need to bulk up in the offseason, but he can't concentrate on that until the offseason. And I think that he'll be much better next year. But if you take him out now, not only are you diminishing his confidence, but you're diminishing his progress. You're stopping his progress. With a young guy like that, you don't want to stop their progress. You want them to keep learning and keep learning and keep learning as they go. It's not like he's stinking up the place. I can see if he was just like sucking and missing every block, then I'm like, all right, get his ass out of there and get Cam Fleming in there. But I mean, he's trying, he's working hard, so you gotta give him that. The biggest thing is the offensive line coach, and I don't think that he's good, and I think he needs to get out of here. Paul Alexander. I'm not in agreement with him being an offensive coach. Offensive line coach. If you heard some of the players, and so I don't know exactly who it was, but it was one of those starters, and they were talking about it this week. And I've heard different things and stuff because, I was at the hotel Saturday. So I've heard different things about that offensive line coach not getting it done. And I'm hearing players basically say, I heard what players said that, hey, I don't know if this guy is going to help us. We have to do what we do. So it's almost like Tyron Smith, Joe Looney, and Zach Martin are like, hey, and Lyle are like, hey, we have to, as the leaders of this offensive line, we have to do our due diligence to do what we do because we don't think that Paul Alexander is helping us. And that's crazy. When you hear players say that, that's wild. So basically they're coaching themselves and they're just like, look, we're just going to do what we do and we'll figure it out later. Now, what I think they should do after this season, go ahead and let Paul Alexander go and hell, let Tyron and them figure out what coach they want in there. Get some of their feedback because they're all pros. They know what works. They know what coach would be good for them. So why not let them choose who they want? I think that would be good. Because again, there's a lot of different factors that is the reason why this team has been up and down, up and down. Now, we could talk all day about the playbook because for whatever reason, they can't get it done on that aspect. You got 1 week the game plan is they're letting Dak throw the ball downfield, and other weeks he's not letting them do it. And I'm just saying, the biggest thing with me, with this offense, they need to scrap this whole offense. Scrap it. Now, I don't think you can do that mid-season, theoretically, when you look at how it goes. You might have to wait till the offseason to re-implement something new. But my whole thing is this. If you are this offense to me is still for Tony Romo. When Linehan first got here, it was more so of, hey, I'm here in this offense he was here for Tony. Now, Tony did his own thing because Tony knew the offense and he could read defenses like the back of his head. So he did him. Even when Linehan drew up a scheme or had plays, he basically came in here and did what he did. So he changed it but see, Dak can't do that yet. Dak doesn't have the ability to just go out there and be like, okay, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. Forget what you say. He's still a young guy. So he's thinking in his head like, hey, I got to do what Linehan says because he's my offensive coordinator and I have to have full faith in him. And I get that part. But if you notice, when Dak is using the RPO or he's running his 2-minute drills or when he's actually audibling and able to, when he has options out there on plays, he's more comfortable because that's what he's good at. You give him something, you're like, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, but not having the option for him to do other things because he is a mobile quarterback, that's what he needs. He needs to be able to have those options, and that's what makes him better. I don't know how many times I can reiterate that. And again, they should understand that. And you see what Dak can do. You watch, I know they're watching tape on the game every day, so you can see what Dak is doing in the game. Because it doesn't make sense how, like, all of a sudden in a 2-minute drive or a drive that you need a quick score, he's able to just run up and down the field. But then in a normal instance, you're just going slow and you're moving like molasses. And it's like, okay, now all of a sudden we're getting 3 and outs because the offense is slowing up. I think that this offense needs to move at a more faster rate sometimes. I think that they need to not necessarily simplify things, but be smarter in the way that they're scheming. When you see the defense doing certain looks, I mean, max coverage, jumbo package. What happened? Well, I guess you can't do the jumbo package because Joe Looney is starting now. Well, you still can. Put Cam Fleming in there for an extra blocker and do some things. But, I mean, I don't understand what they're doing. But, again, I think that, you know, we kept using the phrase Dak friendly. Nobody knew what the hell that meant. But my whole thing is it's not Dak friendly because it's still Romo friendly because they're still running Romo's offense. But what they're doing is they're implementing RPOs and little small tidbits for Dak. You got to change the whole thing because if Dak is now your quarterback, you have to stop wasting his career by doing something and having plays not set up for him and rather change the playbook because if he's going to be your franchise quarterback, it needs to be a playbook for him. You understand what I'm saying? So because of that reason, maybe that's the problem. I mean, that was just something I was thinking about last night and this morning. Basically, I don't think the offense is for Dak. There's a lot of the changes they have to make. Now, you can make some changes right now in this bye week, but that would mean that certain players ain't going on no vacation. They need to figure it out. I mean, yeah, take a couple of days off, get some rest, ice up your knees, get some treatment done for your injuries and stuff like that. Get back to work, y'all. Dak had that ankle injury, he hurt his hand, and we think that he could have been concussed. We still don't know that situation. But, again, this bye week couldn't have come at a better time. But now that you have Amari Cooper, Dak and him have to get their chemistry together. They have to, and Amari has to learn the playbook. And because if they're going to lean on Amari, that's a tall task for Amari to come in here and just be the savior of the day. But again, I believe that Amari will open up things for the running game as well, because now that you kind of have more of a threat as a receiver out there. But this offense still needs to be predicated on Dak's strengths. And that's what they're not doing. And that's the biggest thing for me. So I just look at it like this. Help Dak out. Give Dak what he needs. And I feel like if it doesn't work out with Amari Cooper, our team is going to be the laughingstock of the league, because you're going to be, oh, you gave up a first-round pick for that, and he didn't even turn out. You didn't even make the playoffs. So, again, we got to succeed this year, because it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. And if we don't make it to the playoffs, somebody losing their job. So I just wanted to just give you that, guys, food for thought, just something to think about with that. I think that we just need to change the offense, because it's not Dak friendly. It's still under Romo's. But with that being said, y'all, thanks again to all my subscribers. I appreciate y'all. It's your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.